Hi, and greetings from the middle of the Atlantic. I'm on my way from Southampton to New York, and I thought the middle of the Atlantic was a good place to talk about the accent that's called mid-Atlantic or transatlantic. The transatlantic accent or mid-Atlantic accent is most commonly heard these days in Hollywood movies from the mid-20th century. There are three common myths about the mid-Atlantic accent. One was that nobody spoke it at home, that no one was kind of brought up speaking it. Secondly, and linked to the first, was that it was totally made up, that it was invented by an Australian phonetician
named William Tilley and his student Edith Skinner.
And then thirdly, that the Hollywood studios forced people, or forced actors, to speak like that, and that people would lose their careers if they didn't or weren't able to. Let's have a look to see if any of that is true.
A common belief was that the accent was totally fake. There are similar myths about RP. People seem to find it difficult to imagine that posh people talk like that naturally. I've heard various stories about how some nameless queen wanted English to sound more like Italian. Well, that worked. Or that the nouveau riche somehow made up RP so that they fitted into high society. Well, that didn't work either, because if they'd wanted to sound like posh people, they would have imitated them. If they made up a fake accent, they would have just sounded ridiculous. The truth is, both in the UK and the US, that posh people tend to hang out with other posh people. They marry posh people, have posh kids, send them to posh schools where they meet posh friends, and it doesn't take many generations for a particularly posh accent to develop completely naturally. Social climbers imitate the people who are already posh. Making up some fake accent would just make them sound ridiculous. Features of the mid-Atlantic accent existed among the northeastern elite and the eastern seaboard of the US long before Skinner wrote anything.
She merely described it, added in a bit of snobbery and racism, and published her books.
The Roosevelts spoke like that because that's how people of their social class spoke, not because some Australian phonetician told them they should. Members of these elites maintained much closer relations with England than ordinary people did. They travelled there frequently, sent their sons to be educated, and married their daughters off to English aristocrats.
One markedly Southeast English feature that they picked up was only pronouncing R's before vowels. Here's President Roosevelt's Four Freedoms speech from 1941.
The second is freedom of every person to worship God in his own way everywhere in the world.
Where he has person, worship, everywhere. This R-lessness is the most characteristically British aspect of the accent, although it does get a slight American twist, with the addition of a short sound, where the R used to be. This happened in older RP, in words like here and there, but it gets extended in northeastern elite. Katharine Hepburn grew up in New England and attended the prestigious Bryn Mawr College. Yes, I know it's Bryn Mawr, but they don't say it like that here. Here she is in a scene from Look Who's Coming to Dinner from 1967. A magnificent scene in which she tells a racist to go away. Pay particular attention to affection for and afford.
Including that yellow thing with the blue bulbs, which you have such an affection for. It's just that I'm afraid we're not really the sort of people that you can afford to be associated with.
FDR also has four in his Four Freedoms.
The fourth is freedom from fear.
A consistently American feature in transatlantic speech is the vowel in goat. So, hope, no, instead of RP at the time, so, hope, no. Do you know my goat? I hope so. Do you know my goat? I hope so.
Our support goes to those...
Start your motor. It's not that I don't want to know you, Hillary, although I don't. It's...
So what about these tales of Hollywood imposing the accent on its actors? When Hollywood was founded in the early 20th century, LA was a small town.
The centre of culture, including acting, was the East Coast, particularly New York. So the producers, the studio owners, the actors were all East Coast people, many of whom came from this East Coast elite. Many of them spoke with northeastern elite accents naturally. There was no need for the studios to tell them they had to.
If you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon. Many early movie stars were originally stage actors, and there was a long tradition in American theatre to avoid markedly American accents, especially when portraying classical roles. Like here, with famous American actor John Barrymore, in a speech from Hamlet.
Now I am alone. What a rogue and peasant slave am I. Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his soul so to his own conceit, that from her working all is visage wan.
Here too we have the R-lessness and the American O. Another feature, which varies from speaker to speaker, is the father-bother merger, where in American English, father and bother often rhyme.
Is it not monstrous?
Whereas in RP, father and bother don't. FDR has of, but God.
Freedom of speech to worship God.
Katharine Hepburn has office, dollars, but lost.
Then go into the office and make out a check for cash for the sum of $5,000. Get permanently lost.
Transatlantic was never the only accent used in Hollywood movies. Instead, it was used when portraying high-class, wealthy characters. In the Philadelphia story, Katharine Hepburn plays a wealthy socialite, while James Stewart portrays a Midwestern reporter.
Old Parson Parsi, he's never seen Kittredge before, has he? Now look, I got you into this thing, and I'll get you out of it. Will you marry me, Tracy?
In movies about New York gangsters, the actors spoke with New York accents. Here's James Cagney from The Public Enemy in 1931.
Maybe not today, but I'm telling you this for the last time. When Dutch comes around, he's going to leave you some beer, and you're going to take it, and you're going to kick him with the dough.
So what changed? Why don't Hollywood actors speak like this today? Well, lots of things. One, as I said before, Hollywood started off with its actors coming from the East Coast. But as it got broader and more popular, you got more actors from the Midwest and throughout the country. Also, social attitudes changed. After the Second World War, the US became more confident in its own cultural heft and stopped looking so much to Britain, particularly England. There was also a general trend around that time to stop looking up to elites. So you can see the demise of RP in England, cultivated Australian in Australia, and Mid-Atlantic or northeastern elite speech in the US. The new standard for broadcasting in the US became General American, based on how people in the Great Lakes and around Chicago spoke at that time, because there's a new kind of Midwestern, Great Lakes, northern speech these days.
You can still hear the accent in more recent movies, where it's used for special effect. Vincent Price used it in The House of Wax to sound creepy.
Once in his lifetime, every artist feels the hand of God and creates something that comes alive.
In sci-fi and historical motion pictures, it's used to create a sense of timelessness, without a connection to a particular place. In the 2002 movie Troy, it's easier to suspend belief and imagine yourself in ancient Greece if Achilles doesn't speak with a Missouri accent. Cue Brad Pitt.
Mohammedans, my brothers of the sword, I'd rather fight beside you than any army of thousands. Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions. Do you know what's there? Waiting. Beyond that beach. Immortality! Take it! It's yours!
Sometimes the opposite happens.
Truly, this man was the Son of God.
That was the much maligned casting of John Wayne as a centurion in the greatest story ever told. To be fair, though, while there were no centurions from Glendale, they did come from all over the empire, and many of them would not have spoken with standard Roman Latin accents.
So just remember that Mid-Atlantic English wasn't some Frankenstein's monster stitched together by two snobby phoneticians. It was a living, breathing, elite accent, yes, but a natural accent spoken by large numbers of people, including several presidents, and it's a window on linguistic history and the way languages change, and the way language fashion changes across time.
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in this next video very soon. Bye for now!